Psychological effects that are secretly running your life. The spotlight effect. You trip in public and feel like every single person saw it and will remember it forever. In reality, most people are far too busy starring in their own imaginary spotlight to notice yours. We overestimate how much people notice and judge us because we're the main character of our own mind, but we're a background extra in almost everyone else's. Loss aversion. Losing $20 feels way worse than finding $20 feels good. Same amount, different emotion. Our brains are wired to fear losses almost twice as much as we enjoy equivalent gains. It's why limited time only works on you every single time. The Pygmalion effect. If someone believes you're capable of great things, you often rise to meet that belief. If they expect you to fail, you sometimes quietly do. Expectations don't just predict behavior, they shape it. Teachers who believe in a student get better results from that student without changing a single lesson plan. Belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The dumbest guy in the room is always the loudest. Dunning-Kruger effect. People who know 1% about something have 100% confidence. People who actually studied 10 years say, I don't know enough yet. Watched one YouTube video says, vaccines are fake. I did my research. Instagram finance bro with zero sales says, I'll teach you how to get rich. Confidence doesn't always mean competence. Social proof. You walk past two restaurants. One's empty. One has a line out the door. Which one do you pick? That's social proof. When we're unsure, we copy the crowd, assuming other people know something we don't. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's just a line of people copying each other, too. The Zeigarnik effect. Ever notice how an unfinished task nags at you way more than a finished one? You forget the show you already watched, but that half-written email? It lives rent-free in your head. Your brain holds onto incomplete tasks like open browser tabs because unfinished business feels unresolved. And unresolved things demand attention. This is why cliffhangers work. The placebo effect. A patient is given a sugar pill and told it's medicine. Their pain actually decreases. Not because the pill did anything, but because their brain believed it would. Expectation alone can trigger real, measurable chemical changes in the body. Your mind doesn't just interpret reality, in some ways it helps create it. The over-justification effect. A kid who loves drawing starts getting paid for every drawing. Slowly, they draw less for fun and only for the money. When you add an external reward to something someone already loved doing, it can quietly kill the internal joy that used to drive them. The reward doesn't add motivation. Sometimes it replaces it. The Barnum effect. You're someone who values authenticity but sometimes struggles to open up. Sounds personal, right? It's actually vague enough to apply to almost anyone. This is why horoscopes and personality quizzes feel eerily accurate. They're built on statements so broad, our brain fills in the specific details ourselves and mistakes it for insight. The IKEA effect. Why do you love that wobbly bookshelf you built yourself more than the sturdier one you bought pre-made? Because effort creates attachment. The moment you put labor into something, a piece of furniture, a relationship, a project, your brain inflates its value. It's not really about the object. It's about the you that went into it. The halo effect. You meet someone attractive and your brain quietly assumes they're also kind, smart, and successful, with zero evidence. One good trait creates a halo that colors everything else about a person. It's why tall people get promoted more often. It's why we trust people in nice suits. Your brain isn't judging people fairly. It's judging them by vibes and calling it logic. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. You learn a new word for the first time, and suddenly you hear it 3 times in the next 24 hours. You buy a car, and now that exact model is everywhere on the road. Nothing changed in the world. What changed is your brain. It's now primed to notice something it was ignoring before. It was always there. You just weren't looking. The bystander effect. Someone collapses in a crowded street. Counterintuitively, the bigger the crowd, the less likely any one person is to help. Why? Because everyone assumes someone else will step in. Responsibility gets diluted across the group until it feels like it belongs to no one. The anchoring effect. A shirt is marked $100, then crossed out and reduced to $60. Suddenly, $60 feels like a steal, even if the shirt was never worth more than $40. That first number, the anchor, warps every judgment that comes after it. Negotiators use this constantly. The first number spoken in a negotiation quietly shapes the entire rest of the conversation. The mere exposure effect. You didn't like that song the first time you heard it. By the fifth time, you're humming it in the shower. Familiarity breeds liking. The more we're simply exposed to something, a song, a face, a brand, the more our brain relaxes around it and starts to prefer it, purely because it's no longer unfamiliar. Which means growing on you isn't a metaphor. It's literally how your brain works. Choice supportive bias. You pick option A over option B, and almost immediately your brain starts remembering option A as better than it really was, and option B is worse. This is your mind protecting you from regret. Once a decision is made, your brain quietly rewrites the story so you feel like you made the right call, even when the honest evidence is mixed. The framing effect. 90% fat-free sells better than 10% fat, even though they're the exact same product. The same fact, presented differently, produces completely different reactions. This is why wording matters more than we'd like to admit. Truth doesn't change, but how it's framed changes everything about how it lands. None of these effects are flaws. They're not signs that you're broken or gullible. They're just what a human brain does when it's trying to make fast decisions in a complicated world. The difference between someone who's controlled by these effects and someone who isn't intelligence. It's awareness. Now that you can see them, you get to choose which ones you let drive. Which effect hit closest to home? Comment below. See you in the next one.